this camera rolling? Today, we're looking at predictions versus reality for the last Premier League season. This could be pretty brutal to watch. Let's go straight into it. Yeah. So for each position, I'm gonna tell my prediction first and then the reality of which team placed there. And then we'll just go up from 20th to 1st. So for my 3 relegation teams, I had Leeds in 20th, Fulham in 19th, and Forest in 18th. Yeah. Pretty brutal, honestly. I mean, the Forest and Leeds isn't horrible. I was somewhat close, but I had Fulham in 18th, which is just horrible. Turns out that Southampton finished 20th, Leeds finished 19th, and Leicester finished 18th. I expected Forest to be in the fight for relegation, and they end up worse. Same with Leeds. I was just a 1 spot off with them. But I really didn't think Southampton or Fulham. I didn't think Southampton would do that bad, and I thought Fulham would do a lot worse. Like, I expected a lot more out of Southampton because they always have young players and good talent. But Fulham, I expected them to do pretty poor, and they actually did really well. So that really shocked me throughout the season. 17th, this was a massive mistake, and I'll never do this again. I had Brentford 17th. Yeah. I don't know why. Brentford shouldn't be doing well, but they just do, and I don't like that. I don't like Brentford, but they're a good team, and I'll never do that again. The reality of the 17th spot was Everton, which I really wasn't too far off on this one. I had Everton 16th, so that one's pretty close, but having Brentford down there was a big mistake. For 16th, I predicted Everton, and Forest was the reality, so those were 2 very close predictions. Just like a spot off for both, so that's not horrible. I'm pretty happy with that. 15th, my first one correctly on. Of course it's Bournemouth. I know my team too well. Bournemouth getting 15th, that's the prediction, that's the reality. I don't know why, everyone predicted us 20th, and I just knew we wouldn't get relegated. It was close at points, and I thought 15th at that time was a little high, but I think I ended up being right. We had a really good season, and 15th is a huge win for us. For 14th, I had Southampton, and the reality was West Ham. So I thought West Ham would do a lot better, and I thought Southampton would do a lot better as well. So those 2 teams really just shocked me, honestly. This season, they both just didn't perform. And it turned Southampton, I'm getting dead last, which I never thought would happen. And West Ham was in the fight for relegation, which I think they'd be like Europe again. So that was just a poor prediction, but I feel like I never would have thought West Ham would be in the fight for relegation, you know? 13th, that's another one I got dead on. That's 2 points so far. Wolves. Yeah, I feel like I wasn't totally sure where they finished, but I knew they wouldn't be deep in relegation, but they wouldn't get top 10, and I kind of just threw them in 13th. It ended up working out pretty well. For 12th place, I predicted Brighton, which is horrible. I love Brighton, and I thought 12th would have been pretty decent for them, like an average season, but they just did phenomenal this season. I very much underestimated them. And Chelsea ended up getting 12th, which I never thought they'd do that bad. So these 2, my prediction and my reality, really shocked me. I way overestimated Chelsea and way underestimated Brighton. I just never thought Chelsea would finish 12th. For 11th, I had Leicester. Leicester 11th. I mean, I never thought they would get relegated this early. I knew they wouldn't do phenomenal, but like, they just won the league like 6 or 7 seasons ago. That's just wild. I don't know what to say about that one. Then the reality for that was Palace, which I wasn't too far off. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now heading into the top 10. For 10th place, I predicted Villa. and the reality was Fulham. Villa actually did a lot better than I predicted. They ended up finishing 7th, which is a big shock. I thought their second half of the season, they were just insane with Unai Emery. They just really shocked me. And Fulham definitely did a lot better than I predicted, but I feel like next season they won't do very well, especially with losing Solomon and Mitrovic. They just won't be the same threat, and they might actually get relegated next season. But talking about last season, they did really well, and it's looking like, by my predictions, most of the teams I thought would do a lot worse and did better, and the teams I thought would do good did a lot worse. So it was really a surprising season overall. 9th place, I had Palace, so I wasn't far off, like 2 spots. And the reality was Brentford. I was way off with Brentford. Brentford always surprised me every time. I never think they do this well. And Palace was pretty close, but overall, not horrible. I mean, the Brentford was kind of bad, but the Palace prediction isn't too far off. 8th place was, I predicted Newcastle. The reality was Spurs. Newcastle, I'm so sorry. I way underestimated you. I wanted you to do well, and I knew you would, but I didn't think you'd do good enough to make Champions League, and I'm just so happy they did. Tottenham, I never thought would be this low. I thought they'd be making Champions League. Like, 8th for Tottenham, that's pretty poor. They're not even in any Europe competition, which is really embarrassing, honestly. But I'm just happy for Newcastle. I'm happy that I got this one wrong. 7th, I predicted West Ham, considering they got Europe last year, and then they just ended up not even getting. They were fighting for relegation, so I never would have expected that to happen. Reality was Villa. Villa did phenomenal, like I was saying, second half of the season. And West Ham just were poor all season, honestly. Never really did anything special. And yeah, I never would have guessed that, but I don't think they'll do that again. I'll probably predict them roughly in the same spot. I think it was kind of a fluke of a season. Alright, 6th place, I predicted Chelsea a lot. They would have loved the 6th place. They ended up finishing 12th, so that was a horrible season for them. But the reality for that was Brighton. Brighton had an absolutely phenomenal season, and they just played so well, and credit to them. Their new manager was just insane. They have so many good players just rise. Matoma and CCO Ferguson. I just feel like they had a really great season, and they're very much overlooked. And I thought Chelsea would do a lot better, but it is Chelsea. But I think they'll definitely do a lot better next season with Poch. 5th place, I predicted United. The reality was Liverpool. I wasn't too far off on this one. I didn't think they'd make Champions League, but they ended up doing a lot, not a lot better, but they did better than I expected. They actually, I mean, they were looking like they wouldn't do well in the beginning of the season, but they really picked it up with Rashford. Casemiro did well. Ten Hag figured it out and ended up doing a lot better with them. And Liverpool, I thought, would do a bit better. I predicted Liverpool would be 2nd, and they ended up 5th, so not even Champions League. So, I thought Liverpool would do a bit better, but this was kind of a transition season, I think, for them. Next season, they'll be really good, I feel. All right, heading into Champions League spots, I predicted Arsenal 4th, who they absolutely shocked me, fighting for the title all season. The reality was Newcastle. So these two teams just did insanely well this season. Arsenal really shocked me. I thought they'd barely make Champions League, and they got 2nd and barely lost the title. And then Newcastle, I thought, would do much worse and ended up finishing Champions League. So these were just big shockers for me, and I'm still surprised Newcastle got it, but they totally deserved that spot. And Arsenal just, I never thought Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka would have a season like that. All three of them were just absolutely unbelievable. 3rd place, I predicted Spurs. They ended up doing a lot worse than I thought. I thought after that transfer market, they were looking really good, bringing Perisic, Richarlison in, and they really just didn't do well. Kane obviously did phenomenal, but Son didn't really live up to expectations and didn't really do anything too special. Tottenham, I thought they'd make Champions League and didn't even make Europe, so not a great season for them. I thought they'd do a lot better considering their transfer market. The reality of that was United, which United did pretty well. I was only a couple spots off with them. Once again, Ten Hag really, second half of the season, did a phenomenal job. Second place, I predicted Liverpool. The reality was Arsenal. Once again, Liverpool really disappointed me this season, but now, like, after watching the season, it makes sense. It was more of a transition year for them, and Arsenal really shocked me. And for the first place spot, I predicted City. It was City. That's 3 total points. Not too great, but you just kind of knew City would win with Haaland coming in, and they're just such a good team, and they're gonna win it the next, like, 3 seasons in a row at least. So yeah, these were pretty horrible predictions. When my next one comes out, I'll make sure to do better. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll